Okay. I come totally unprepared, completely off the cuff, no script at all. And I want to go talk about the TODd MATi. TODd MATi. TODd MATi. Okay. So I'm trying to figure out what TODd MATi is. And this was all just yesterday. I didn't even remember. I couldn't remember what the name was because I've been thinking about it. And so then it was yesterday that I remembered that's the name of that Facebook page, that Illuminati Facebook page, Satanic Illuminati Facebook page, that my Psycho X was was friends with. She only had 70 people. And it was all like almost half of them were all self-proclaimed witches. And then like 1/3 of them were all these new age gurus. And then, 2 or 3, I don't know, maybe more, but a handful of mystery, completely anonymous Facebook friends that were it was obvious they were making sure that they were very anonymous. No, like that kind of thing. And then a couple of townspeople, shady townspeople here. All of them were, any that were any of her Facebook friends that were, that were people here in this town. If they weren't self-proclaimed witches, which was the majority of them, they were really shady business owners and stuff, like the creepiest people. So it's all the creepiest fucking people, right? And then this TODd MATi page. And like I said, like yesterday, I didn't even remember until yesterday the name of it. And for some reason I remembered it was TODd MATi. And because Todd is easy to remember, because that's the name of the guy that was, that her and her friends were all under investigation in air quotes, for murdering. His name was Todd Minshall, right? So that part was easy to remember. It was Todd something. And then I just remembered MATi. It was TODd MATi. And so then I was like pretty sure. I'm like, that's what it was. So then I asked the brave search engine, what is TODd MATi? And what came up was like, what is TOD? What is TOD? Because I don't know. Do you? I've never even heard of TOD. The only thing resembling that I've ever is the name Todd, TODD. So I don't know if you've ever heard of Todd, TOD. What is that? What is TODd MATi? What doesn't even make it sounds like it's a foreign language or something. TODd MATi. What the fuck is this? So Brave Search Engine wasn't able to connect the dots on TODd MATi, but all of this stuff about Todd, TOD, was and it was all the same. TOD is terms of death. It's like terms of death. That has to do with like inheritance and insurance policies. Okay, so when that came up, it was an immediate red flag for me because of all of this evidence pointing to my Psycho X being involved in online fraud with all those bank numbers, those numbers that appear just like bank numbers that were written all over our notebooks. And a side note, all those notebooks burnt up in the fire. I just happened to have one in my trailer that I was using in my trailer at some point, and I left it in there. All the other ones all got burnt up. And they all had all these numbers that resembled bank numbers written all throughout them. So it looks like fraud, like credit card fraud. When you really look at it, it looks like fucking credit card fraud. And she's been working at Carl's Jr. at the drive-thru. Her job is to run people's credit cards at the drive-thru. And so automatic like fraud. And then when I started talking to people about it, like showing them, like, look, these numbers are written all over. What do you think that would mean? Don't you think that's weird? You know? And so when I would talk to people, they would confirm the same thing I thought, was they look like bank numbers. And one of the numbers even had, like, I can't remember what the words were. It was like Texas Heritage or something like that. I can't remember exactly. And I was showing, because I had that one in the notebook, and I was showing it to the first person I talked to about it. They automatically knew that's a bank. That is a bank. And so then I typed them words in and looked it up. Sure enough, it's a bank. So you got the name of a bank with the fucking, so it's like, how much more obvious does this have to get? Like, it's fraud. It's credit card fraud. And then like I told you in the video yesterday, I didn't really know, like, what do you know about fraud going on at these fast food places? You know, I never really heard of it. So I just did a little bit of online, just kind of looking around, and sure enough, there's all this fucking fraud going on, with these fucking fast food places. They're taking people's numbers and selling them on the deep web and shit, blah blah blah, all this. And so, and then when I'm talking to all these people, all these different people, and I'm showing them these numbers, is like, doesn't that look like bank numbers and shit? Like, what do you think? These numbers are written all over the place in our notebooks. And then people are talking about that, yeah, this looks like fraud. And then some of the people, they're starting to tell me to be careful, because I lived with her for 3 years. Like, if she's into fraud, well, I live with this bitch, right? And then it gets brought up that, like, the most concerning of all fraud, when you're talking about those kind of levels of fraud, the most concerning is life insurance policy fraud. The reason being, most all other types of fraud like this, there are ways to find out what's going on. Like, whereas life insurance, though, is nearly impossible because of all the levels and walls of privacy regarding life insurance policies. So it makes it life insurance fraud is a lot more secret. It can be much more, because you can't just join some credit thing that follows your credit and gives you your credit score, monthly credit scores. That even though that can work to help you monitor what's going on with your general credit and stuff, when it comes to life insurance policy, that shit is way more like, it's nearly impossible to find out if someone else has put a life insurance policy out on you. See, I don't know any of this. Do you know about any of this? And it's true. It's true. And like, a person that doesn't even know you, can put a life insurance policy out on you and then have you killed or kill you themselves, and and collect the life insurance money. And we're talking big money, tens of thousands, hundreds of thousands. So there's a massive motive to, this is a thing, bro. This is like a real thing. And so when I'm trying to remember this, because it's the satanic page, and so I'm trying to illustrate how this is, look, at all this stuff is pointing to her being a satanic, Luciferian, Illuminati, fucking black fucking witch. Everything. It's all right here. And so I'm trying to remember, what's the name of that page, because that one was the craziest. Because like I was saying in the video yesterday, I'm like, how many of you would have a Facebook page that has like a bunch of self-proclaimed witches all over it, let alone that you're posting all this witch shit all over your page, and have a bunch of self-proclaimed witches as your Facebook friends, and then an Illuminati page where it's an Illuminati page that's saying that, join the Illuminati. Here's the information. Here's the phone number and the website, and joining the Illuminati will change your life. It's a beautiful thing. And the page is called TODd MATiVishnu, and when you look at it, it's all this satanic. Every single post is like overt satanic posts. Okay. How many of you is that what a typical person's Facebook page looks like? Well, absolutely not. Like, this is ridiculous, you know? And so then I'm trying to remember, what's this TODd MATi? Todd something, and then I remembered TODd MATi. And so then I looked it up. I'm like, I asked the Brave search engine, what is TODd MATi? And Todd came up, but there was the Brave search engine didn't make a connection with Todd and MATi. So Todd came up, and it's TOD, not TODD, TOD. And what TOD is terms of death. And basically what terms of death is like, is basically the same thing as a life insurance policy. Terms of death involves life insurance policy, inheritance, wills, all this kind of stuff. That's what terms of death is directly. It's an insurance policy type term. Literally, bro. It's not like it's not a conspiracy theory term. Terms of death. It's not a like a band name of some edgy metal band. Terms of death. No, it's a fucking legal thing. Terms of death, and it all involves insurance, life insurance, people's will, and inheritance thing, all this stuff. So it's an Illuminati satanic page, and it's called TODd MATi. And when you look up Todd means terms of death, which is related to all this stuff. And then MATi, I don't know if you guys knew that. I didn't know any of this. So I look up MATi. What is MATi? MATi is evil eye. So then you start looking up evil eye. What is evil eye? Okay, so I'm looking up evil eye. What is all this, right? And it has connections to a lot of different religions. In a lot of ways, it's superstitious. And they have, like, a lot of it's like Hindu religion where you can wear the evil eye bead and it's supposed to dispel. But then Brave search engine, I'm like kind of doing research about what is this evil eye shit. And Brave search engine is explaining how evil eye is something that is somewhat common in many different religions around the world. And even Christianity references evil eye and stuff. So then I start looking at that, and then I ask, like, is evil eye related to demon possession? And then sure enough, yeah, evil eye, blah, blah, blah. So then you look into all this. You can look into TODd, T-O-D, what is that? It's terms of death. And that's all about life insurance policies, blah, blah, blah. And then evil eye it's all directly tied to, Satanism and all this stuff, and evil and all this stuff. And it's a fucking Illuminati page that is as overtly satanic. Every post is brazenly pushes Satanism, like Satanism, like killing babies and drinking their blood kind of shit. Illuminati, like drinking babies' blood and adrenochrome, like all this is all that, and they're promoting it like this is a great, Illuminati is a great thing. Here's how to join. Please join the Illuminati. It will change your life. It's wonderful. And this page is called TODd MATi. Terms of death. Terms of death. Evil eye. So it's like an evil eye that's scanning, looking for how to fuck people on their life insurance policy. Okay? So TODd MATi isn't something that's common in, like, conspiracy world, right? You never heard. Well, this is the thing. When you're talking about the Illuminati and secret societies, first of all, you'll have all different kinds of factions of them. And it's always secrecy, and it's all, and a lot of it's online. They use the internet and all this shit and the dark web. And if you think the Illuminati, even lower tier members, because you've got tons of lower tier members, way more than you would even think. That of course, like, they're into internet fraud, they're into all of this. Anything goes in the Illuminati, killing people for insurance money. Fuck yeah, when you're in the Illuminati, if you're dumb enough to join the Illuminati, well, then you're dumb enough to get involved in the internet fraud. And when the Illuminati has these factions of people, they're saying, hey, we're running this pyramid scam scheme involving insurance policies and shit. It's like, dude, you start connecting the dots. I mean, come on. You think that I'm just I'm just being delusional about this? Like, I don't think so at all. TODd MATi is real. But because it's not something that's being talked about all the time, and it's very under the radar. Well, that's how the Illuminati and secret societies work, is under the radar. They're doing these secret societies. You think that everybody has a pulse and a direct pulse to everything that's going on with the Illuminati? No, they're always in secrecy. They're doing all kinds of shit. They have little factions with these weird names called TODd MATi that are right out in the open on Facebook and this and that. They got all kinds of this shit going on that none of these fucking conspiracy theorists are exposing all this stuff. Like, there's so much of it. There's so many factions of it. It's on the dark web. It's all over. It's everywhere. There's so much of it happening. How are you going to know? How would you know that what I'm saying about TODd MATi is just bullshit? How would you know that? Because the truther movement hasn't talked about TODd MATi, therefore it must not exist? No, TODd MATi is real. And it's a faction of Illuminati that are running a fucking massive fucking pyramid fucking life insurance policy fraud scheme and scam. And when you talk about life insurance policy fraud, you're talking about murder. Murder. They're murdering people for life insurance. It's TODd MATi, bro. That is TODd fucking MATi. And so I know it sounds crazy and I sound like a conspiracy theorist, especially yesterday because, again, I'm doing a storyboard. So it's just a big clusterfuck of everything. Post-it notes, fucking red yarn, pins, this and that, all these different weird things, TODd MATi. But dude, just because it sounds crazy, the whole idea of the Illuminati sounds crazy. What are you fucking talking about? Okay, think about TODd MATi. So this is all about TODd MATi. Look, okay. When people talk about birth certificates, and they talk about how the government owns everybody, and birth certificates are like a way to, and the government is funneling. That's why they're baby boomers, and that's why they love because they make money off of every baby that's born. That's cha-ching immediately. That's like hundreds of thousands of dollars for the government. Because that's what a whole birth certificate is about. When you talk about birthing, all those terms, which you guys, I'm not an expert on it at all, but I've heard all this stuff about sovereignty and birthing and, maritime law, where birth certificates are connected to the government or shadow government or whatever, and a birth certificate is based, and social security numbers. These are all codes for ownership of you, and that they make money. You're a battery, just like in the Matrix, where it says to turn you into a fucking, the Matrix the whole thing is to turn you into one of this. And it's all tied into maritime law, birthing, birth certificates, social security numbers, all this stuff. You think that that's real. But then when I'm talking about TODd MATi, which is basically the same thing, where they're capitalizing on maritime law and birth certificates and social security numbers for life insurance policy fraud, and murder and all this stuff. Like, you don't think that this is going on? I'm sure there are many different factions with many different names because it's the Illuminati. It's a secret. Everything is done in secrecy. But TODd MATi is one of them. It's TODd MATi, Terms of Death, Evil Eye. It's all about life insurance fraud. It's the evil eye, and it's looking to how can they fucking get an insurance policy out on you, and then kick back and wait and conspire and then kill you, like Todd Minshall's death, for the life insurance money. Dude, I just came across a story yesterday where police police officers were charged for life insurance fraud because of their power that police has in murder investigations and stuff. They could kill people for their life insurance policy and then create a whole fake investigation so that it all gets swept under the rug, and then they collect the fucking life insurance money through the fraud and have been doing it for fucking years and years and getting like over $10 million doing this. Police officers, okay? And I'm talking about what happened to me, this Todd Minshall guy dying and the police covering it up. And my psycho ex is involved. All this evidence that points that she's involved in fraud, credit card fraud, and that all her friends are too. Like, they're all in on it. It's all one big cult in this little town, and they're all doing all this fraud. Another thing about this town is there's tons of like senior elderly people that live here because of the weather. Like the winter here is like the perfect weather in the world, practically. Almost the entire world, arguably the world. This town has the best weather in the wintertime. It's like perfect all winter long. It's like practically perfect weather. So all these elderly people live here. You know how easy it is to fuck elderly people over, including life insurance, policy fraud, credit card fraud. All these elderly people, they're getting fucked left and right, and they're killing them, and all this is getting swept under the rug, dude. Dude, there are stories where trailer park owners will shut the fucking power off and make it look like it was an accident, and so that in the trailer park, all those elderly people that have gold in their trailers and antiques and stuff, they all die, and then they just come through and collect all that shit. This shit is real. So anyways, TODd MATiVishnu, bro. I know you've never heard the term TODd MATiVishnu, so it's not popping and trendy and popular. And so therefore, like if TODd MATiVishnu if I'm right, and then TODd MATiVishnu were to start to get exposed, and then it ends up in popular and trending where they're like, TODd MATiVishnu is this life insurance scam that has involved all of these fucking, it's this web of people, and they're all tied to the Illuminati and witchcraft and blah, blah, blah. Well, then you'd be like, okay, yeah, I've heard of TODd MATiVishnu, but you haven't, because I'm fucking telling you it's only me. Nobody else is talking about TODd MATiVishnu. Dude, TODd MATiVishnu, man. I mean, so, and then like the thing is like if you're entertaining the idea of maritime law and how it's all this big scam to own you, and that all you are is this to the system. And it's all connected to maritime law, birth certificates, social security numbers, all this stuff is all just like because you are this to them. And you're considering that all that's true. Well, what's the difference between that and TODd MATiVishnu? Like a group that is online fucking hackers and shit like this, and a whole group of them, and they're all willing participants of the Illuminati, and they're all like, join us. You can. And it's called TODd MATiVishnu, Terms of Death, Evil Eye. How is it that all this maritime shit and stuff that's all designed where they're just draining money out of you through maritime law and birth certificates, social security numbers, all this stuff is all to drain money out of you, that money that is by law yours? How is it that you could entertain that as true, but like I'm talking about this TODd MATiVishnu thing, which is the same thing, and it's all tied together. We're talking about Illuminati and all this stuff. And that what I'm saying is like, oh, that's just some crazy guy. But all this other stuff about maritime law, birth certificates, social security numbers, and using you as a battery to just drain you, and the government owns you, and you're not free, and all that's like totally, yeah, you can entertain that. But when I'm talking about TODd MATiVishnu, which all it is a faction of that. There are all these factions, and they're online factions. And they're all hidden and underground, and they're all working with the deep web and all this stuff, and it all involves terms of death, life insurance fraud, which, dude, life insurance fraud is a lot of times involves murder, because that's how you get the life insurance money. And that it can be a complete stranger who's never even met you or nothing. They get your information off the deep web. and they can put a life insurance policy out on you. And when you got all these elderly people out here that are close to death and shit, and you got this cult of witches that are all like self-proclaimed witches, and they're all part of this TODd MATi Facebook page. I mean, come on, dude. The dots. There's dots all over. Like, this is an overwhelming amount of evidence and, you know, pattern recognition. Like, you got to, when you, and this is just another post-it for my storyboard. And of course, this might, but when all this storyboard gets done and you look back and step back and you look at the whole thing, and then kind of like, you know, piece it together. It's going to take time to piece it all together. But, dude, this is a big part of it, the TODd MATi, man.